Hello, this is Arul from VALOI. Today we have the first part of 3 videos about the new VALOI easy35 unit. So this part is going to be about kind of exactly what's in the box and what you get, a little bit about the kind of compatibility with different cameras, and then I'll show you kind of how to set it up and assemble it. So let's talk about the box first. The box is relatively large because it comes with quite a lot of different things, and opening it up, the first thing you'll see is the manual. The manual is quite important. There's a lot of important information here about things like lenses and compatibility, but there's also cautions about things that you should and shouldn't do, and there are some tips and tricks about scanning and what kind of settings to use for your camera. So we really do recommend that you look through this. I know people usually don't look through manuals, but we try to make it friendly and quite helpful. There's some information about your light source that you can read through if you want. Then there's the product itself. It comes in 4 parts that all splits apart. The main housing sits here. It's a nylon 12 plastic housing, and the holder sits inside here. This is the standard 35mm holder. On top is the rotation ring that's pre-assembled and attaches to the tubes on top. On the bottom you can see the light source and the controls for that I'll go through in a second. On the side here you find the lock and release for the holder. I'll also talk about that afterwards when we talk about changing holders. In addition, you have 2 sets of tubes here. The longer set is 3 40mm distance tubes. So these are different from extension tubes you typically find for macro use. They are meant to sit between the easy35 unit and the front of the lens, as opposed to between the camera and the back of the lens. So this is something that people kind of confuse a bit. So we call these the distance tubes. These are the 40mm distance tubes, and there are 3 of them. Then there's the kind of normal kit. Here you get 2 40mm tubes, and then 1 medium tube that's 20mm, and 1 short tube that's 10mm for fine adjustments. With these 3 types of tubes, you should be able to use essentially any type of macro lens within reasonable focal lengths. We'll talk more about lens compatibility in a second. Finally, here in the back, in a little bag, you find 7 filter adapters for different filter threads on cameras. So the easy35 has a 62mm filter thread on the tubes, and these screw onto that tube to give you the final filter thread for your camera. In addition, you'll find an Allen key, 4mm size Allen key here that is used for the holder lock. So, in addition to what comes in the standard kit, this is everything, we have some accessories that you can purchase separately. So the easy35 comes with a interchangeable holder system, and currently there are 2 holders, and in the future there'll be also a slide holder in addition to several kind of odd format holders, and these just slide into the easy35. This is the sprocket holder. Here you get the 35mm frame, the whole frame, plus a little bit extra to show the sprockets. So we've tried to cover a minimal amount while still keeping flatness very good across the frame. In addition to the extra holders and replaceable holders, the easy35 can also mount this duster. I'll just quickly show how to mount it. The duster is the same kind of plastic that the easy35 is, but it has 2 anti-static brushes that you push film through before it goes into the easy35. You attach it by using these 2 thumb screws. There are 2. You can see 2 brass inserts on the top here, and you just screw it on like that, and then you can push your film through there. It will clean loose dust from the film and give you a bit cleaner scans. So Before we go any further on talking about lenses and different cameras, I'll just quickly show you removing this kind of holder. For this you'll need the bag of extra parts, and you'll need this Allen key. So as I said, on the side here there's a screw that you need the key to operate, and for the holder to come out you need to take off the duster. Just put that aside, and then you have to unscrew the screw quite a bit, and then you can just push it. You push it away from towards this opening here, and you'll see that when this holder slides out, it has an arrow on it that indicates which direction it goes in. So you can think of this as the entrance for the holders. So I'm just going to swap it out with this other holder, and the arrow goes again in the entrance, and then there you go. And then what's important when you've pushed it all the way through, okay, now it's a bit loose, you want to tighten it. However, you don't want to over tighten it. This screw will bend the holder a little bit, so just tighten it lightly, tighten a little bit more, and you can kind of feel the holder starting to get firm in the holder. And now I can no longer push it out from the backside. And at this point it's plenty tight. You don't over tighten it. You will bend the holder and potentially break the holder, but also make it unusable for film because it makes the path too narrow. So now that we have this holder mounted in here, I'm going to mount it on a camera, and it's showing you the different tubes you can use and the different setups we can have. Okay, so now I've taken everything out of the box, gotten that out of the way, and we have the tubes and a few different cameras here. The first step to choosing, to mounting the easy35 on a camera is selecting one of the filter threads. Most cameras, most lenses will say what kind of filter thread they have on it. This says on the front it usually has a circle with a line through it, and it says 52 after that. In this case, this one says 49, and back here we have a 62. If your lens is a 62, you don't need any of these, but for anything else you'll need an adapter. So for example, for this one, that's 52, we have the 52 to 62mm adapter, and it just screws onto the filter threads. I would just do this ahead of time, and you can always just leave this on if you want to. This one already has a 49 mounted, and it's quite deeply set. It's usually sometimes easy to turn on the camera, focus it a bit further out, and then take off the, put on and off the filter thread adapter. Once that's done, you need to select a length of tube. What's important here is that the length of tube you need to choose is based on the focal length. So focal length is the how much zoomed in your lens is. So it has a 70mm lens and there's a 40mm lens, but they're on different formats, so the actual amount of telephoto effect you get from them is different. The easiest way to find out how much you need is to take a piece of film or something about the size of a film, and there is actually a little illustration in the manual that's the size of a film frame, and you can use that to focus on. But taking your macro lens, a lot of macro lenses have these kind of markings, so they say 1 to 1, 1 to 1.5, 1 to 2. If you have one that says 1 to 1, like it should, you can pre-focus it to that, like I'll do on this, 1 to 1, and then just focus on a piece of film, and roughly there. Nope. Oh. Oh. There we go. So as we can see here, being in focus with this short distance of film, we know that we don't need all of these tubes. We can start with maybe one long tube, and even that might be too much. So I would start with this, put on the camera, focus it, turn on the light source and put some film in there, even if you want to be quite precise, and focus it. And if you just can't focus close enough, then you need to add a little bit more. If you are seeing too much of black around the frame, you can remove a bit of ring. And so starting with the 40mm is good start, but then you also have the 20 and the 10mm to do fine adjustments. You can see here that, so I've just left these mounted on without the unit, but you can see here that this uses 3 40mm and 1 20mm. It's quite a long lens, and therefore it requires quite a long tube. The lens I have in front here only requires 1 40mm tube. So it'll depend on the focal length in the camera. Just take your time and go through these tubes and find the one that's right for you. You will only have to do this once, and then you can note it down for yourself how much you need, or just leave it on the unit. Once you have gotten these tubes on, and you're probably on the last round of testing, just screw on the easy35. I like holding the camera with the tube in my right hand and then just screwing with my left hand. So that's the final assembly for the easy35. With that, you can start scanning essentially. The final thing you have to be aware of after you've put in your holder and you've gotten your tubes is that your rotation needs to be correct. So you want to have this sitting up, and then you can loosen this thumb screw on top, and that will let you rotate this tube. So now I can't rotate it, and then untightening it again I can. I like to just put it on the table, and that usually keeps it quite flat. And then looking on the screen, having focused the lens, you'll see that the frame is either crooked or straight. You want to have it straight so that the film comes out as a straight frame relative to the sensor. Once this is done, you can use the dials on the back to turn on and set the light source. You'll see that there are 2 dials. One is marked power and one is marked temperature. The power one for scanning, focusing on things you can do on a lower power setting, but for scanning we recommend just turning it all the way up. It is a step-less dial, but just push it all the way to maximum power. Then on the temperature side, you'll see in the manual there's a recommendation to scan on a cold setting when you're scanning negative film, on a kind of white middle point setting when you're scanning black and white film, and on the warmest setting when you're scanning slide film. Do keep in mind that you still have to white balance your slide film. But this will just give you the best results. It's not terribly important. You will get good results from essentially any of these settings, but it's a nice little additional quality just from doing a simple thing on the light source. You'll also see on the back here that there's a USB-C charging port. The light does have a built-in battery. It lasts 2.5 hours from full charge, but charging it you can just do with a standard kind of phone charger with USB-C. There is a included short USB-C cable that you can plug into any kind of computer. It's a bit slow, but it works. But you can also use any phone charger. So, to read more about recommended lenses, we're not going to go through this in this video, but you can go to our website, go to valoi.co/easy35, and you'll see a guide on lenses, both how to find out what's compatible and what's not compatible, but also specific recommendations if you're looking to buy a lens to go with your easy35. So in the next part, we're going to go from this stage to actually scanning some film. So we'll go through some of the little details that you want to think about when you're scanning film, and get the actual final file from the camera. And then in the final part, we're going to go through taking that from a raw file into a final viewable kind of positive picture. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next part.